Hi there and welcome to another fitmama interview. My name is Michelle Kaida. I'm CEO and founder of fitmama Fitness, and I'm really pleased and delighted to be joined by Christiana today. And the subject of today's interview is this hashtag that I'm seeing around, which is, the long version is work from home with kids. And specifically, I want to look at the woman who works, who's in a very good, strong career. And here it's really important to distinguish is somebody who is working paid employment. We don't want to get into the debate about stay-at-home mums who are working, because we know they work when they're staying at home. We know that they've got a lot to do. But we're looking at paid employment, where somebody is paying you to do a job, and then we're looking at that impact. So Christiana, welcome to the interview.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for coming along. It's lovely to see you.
Thank you.
Give me a little bit of an idea of, let's think about January and February, because it wasn't too far away, although it feels like it was 10 years ago. In January and February, what did day-to-day life look like for you as someone who is a woman who works, comma, who is also a mother?
Yeah. So I have 3 kids and 2 jobs. I work as a professor at the university, faculty of architecture, and I also work as an architect in a practice. And until the corona crisis, I managed to balance the roles through actually good organization, but also mostly through the help of we have grandparents helping once a week, and then we have babysitter 1 or twice a week, and the schools in Sweden are for smaller kids also in the afternoon. So I managed to work full-time without too much stress, actually, picking up the kids, and in my days, two days maybe ending around 4 o'clock, and the other days working maybe to 6 o'clock or something like that. And it worked fine. Sweden is a very good country to have a job and kids. So it's not such a big matter. Everybody has. Everybody works. Everybody has kids, and men and women are quite equal on the working place. So there is no big matter of this, and you almost never book a meeting or important meeting after 4 o'clock or 4, and well, it's very unusual. So it is a place where it's quite easy to actually take care of family and also have a job. In my case, my job is a bit more extreme than the average, maybe. So I also always need to have an extra help as well. But most of my colleagues don't have any help at all and still manage to work more or less full-time and have families, both women and men.
Okay. And that would be your life pre.
That was until February.
Okay. Post lockdown. So your camera has just went off. It's fine for me, but it's just in case you needed to know.
Michelle, wait a second.
That's cool.
Can you take a little break because Sophia is calling me? Just a little.
No problem. Hi there, we're back.
Yes, so my hectic life as working mother is, as usual, I have to pick up one of the kids now from the tennis. So the thing is, what happened after the crisis? Was that the question?
Yeah, so really look at, since your lockdown happened, what life looked like as a working mum. What's your life? Has it changed night and day, or no, not at all? What's happened?
Well, I have to precise that to just explain that Sweden has not had the lockdown as other countries. We have a very special situation where the government hasn't introduced any complete lockdown, but some changes like theaters and of course, opera houses, big events have been cancelled and prohibited. First big events and almost smaller ones. And then they have most of universities have changed into online activity, and also the high schools from the age about 16 years old have been changing to homeschooling. The rest, or school from home, the rest of the kids still go to school. The schools have never been closed, which is has been Sweden has been pretty much in the newspapers about this. There has been a lot of actually critic on this approach from the international arena, but the physicians here, the authorities have been convinced that this approach is the best one, and I think only the history and in a few future months will show if this approach was the correct or the bad one. The fact is that the schools have been kept open because the kids have the children, small children, have a very low risk of taking the infection, and have also quite lower risk to transmit the infections to others. So the consequences of closing schools were considered more dangerous for the society than actually to close down the schools. So the decision was taken to keep the schools open, but to change to online school for the older kids and the universities, because the older kids can cope better with online teaching, and to keep the schools open. This means my life, the recommendation was though that adults that can work from home should do that. So what I have done together with my husband is, from 2 months behind, we work from home. I teach my students at university from home, and I lead the projects in the office from home. But the kids are going to school, but I don't have the change is that I don't have any help anymore, because we don't meet the grandparents anymore, and we don't meet the babysitter anymore. We don't let the kids take public transportation anymore, which means we have to bring them everywhere. Therefore, I'm traveling now. We have to pick them up and drive them everywhere. And most of my colleagues also work from home, which means if I want to keep the same tempo, the same activity as before, it requires another type of leadership from my side. So the period, the last 2 months are extremely much work for me. It has been, I have worked overtime, week after week after week, much more than before, to manage to cope this changed family situation, and also to continue to work, because my deliveries at work and at the university haven't changed at all. I have the same expectations there to deliver the project in the same time schedule. And another thing, of course, is that you have to cook all meals now. Children don't eat at school the same way, and me and my husband and the older child, we are at home. We have to prepare lunch and dinner, and every day we buy food only online, so you have to plan the food in advance, because we got deliveries twice a week, so I can't just improvise and go to a shop. I have to plan what dinner, what lunch I'm going to do every day in advance, which I'm not used to, but I have to do it now. So it's a lot of, I really hope the period ends very soon.
And the question I would give for that is, who has absorbed, or who has naturally taken on board all of that extra work? So planning, meal planning, ordering online, doing the school run, doing all of that. You don't have the homeschooling part that I have, but you've got a lot of other stuff there. Who is doing that? Are you equally sharing it, or did you automatically assume it, or who's doing that work?
I think we haven't been, the situation has been very special, so we haven't really, usually we are very organized, me and my husband. We plan every Sunday evening, we sit together, we plan the coming 2 weeks, who's traveling, who's taking meetings, who is picking up the children, who is helping the one with the other training or with tournaments. But this period has been so strange so so unusual that we haven't really been so good in planning. So sometimes we just oh my God, it's 3 o'clock, we have to pick up the kids, and we both have meetings at home, and how do we do now? And something like this meeting now, it was planned, but suddenly I had to pick up her because he was stuck in another meeting. So it's not easy. It hasn't been very easy to plan things as before, because everything is more chaotic. And it takes a little longer time to do things. So I must say that usually I feel we are sharing quite well the responsibilities, but in the last period maybe that's been a little more me, because I haven't been able to organize actually and delegate to him because I have been myself a little unused to this situation. But now we have talked about this just now and said that now we plan for the coming years, for the coming weeks now, every day how we do, because the fact that the kids cannot come home alone, they have to be picking up every time or walk. It makes it a little complicated with the logistics.
How do you think this period of time is affecting you as a female and as the mother? So forget about the rest of your household, but you personally, how is this affecting you in terms of your mental health, your fitness, your work? How is all of that happening that you are now trying to juggle everything?
What we are quite lucky, I must say. First of all, that the school is open, I must say. Of course, we will see if this was a bad decision, for the number of deaths is quite high in Sweden, but coming to the possibility of working at the same time and having kids at home, I cannot imagine that scenario. If all the kids would be at home and I had to take care of them and work full time, it would be crazy. So first of all, I have to be thankful that the system is supporting us working. On the other side, what I have done, which has been very good, we were lucky that this lockdown or partial lockdown has been in spring time. We had a couple of months of very good weather. So what we have done, me and my daughters, is that every evening about 8 o'clock, we go out for a long walk, about 1 hour, fast walk. We talk with each other, we take some fresh air, we just make some, movement or physical activity, and it keeps me quite good, actually, this imbalance to just leave the house, because, and of course we are quite lucky, we have a little garden, so we have had some lunch breaks where you have only 1 hour both to cook and eat, but I have both a lot of food that is fast to warm up or to cook, and then we just sit in the garden 20 minutes just to take some fresh air, to have some sunshine. It has also helped to reduce the stress and to make it a little less monotonous, the daily routine. And on the third, we have tried in the weekends to take excursions. In Sweden, it's, as I said, not complete lockdown, so we have taken excursions in the nature. Last weekend, for example, in a natural reservation, we have walked there 7 kilometers with the family. And the advantage of this period, although it is stressful, it is that we have more time with each other, with the family. We don't meet people, we don't meet other people, we don't meet anybody, no family, no friends. So we spend a lot of time together, which is different and which is good as well. So it's not only negative. I would say there is a major change that brings more stress, but it balances with other things that are positive of this period. So, but it depends on my personal situation, the fact that I live in a house with a garden in a city which is not so dense, where natural areas are very close, easy to access, where the schools are still open, so I can, during the normal day, I still have 6 hours or something that I can just work. So I feel a little, it's not fair to say that this, I feel a little lucky in this situation still.
Yeah.
So I don't want to complain that it's not only bad, there are some good things about this.
What I would say to you is that you are seeing, you're experiencing a slight flip, because the people who are working from home with kids are facing this situation where they are trying to make a decision, every 10 minutes. Am I doing a piece of work, a piece of email, something, or am I looking after my child and correcting a 9-year-old's work? But for you, how did you react, and how did it feel to go immediately to online, for example, as a professor? So you are teaching at a very high level. Your work expectations have not been flexed. So your work expectations, either through your employer of the architect company or of the university, remain the same. Here are the expectations we have of you. Complete them. Has there been any flexibility at all?
We have when it comes to the work, we have been very clear talking with the client. I have a very large project for a public client, and we also came to this conclusion. Well, we keep doing the project. We don't make a break. We don't take a pause. We do the project with a plan that was planned from the beginning, but we are in a way humble and saying that from both sides that something is not going to be as well developed or well analyzed because we cannot meet anymore. We cannot have meetings. We have a lot of online meetings like this, but we cannot sit around the table and sketch together and make creative discussions. There are limits of this period. So I think we all have to be realistic about that and say that, okay, we do as good as we can during this period so that we still can work, we can still pay our salaries, we can still pay our taxes, but something is of course we are going to be affected a little bit, the quality is going to be affected a little bit, but it's better than stop everything. Because the economy will collapse completely. So I'm very glad that the client wanted to still work with us and it didn't make a stop in the project. And I'm very glad, also thankful that the university keeps working anyway, even online. But of course, it's not the same as meeting for real. I don't think we can. I believe it's good, but it's not the same.
Going forward, one of the key areas that you'll find, even the UN are looking at it, and they look at the future of work. And in my belief, we are sitting in the future of work. There's no point talking nowadays about the future of work. What does that look like? We're literally going through the future of work now. People have had no notice, quite a lot of countries, that tomorrow you will be online. Tomorrow you will be teaching your child. Tomorrow you will be at home. Tomorrow everything closes that you know of. So we are in the future of work as far as I'm concerned. But if we look forward again and we look at the likes of September, what do you think, you particularly in your career and in your workplace, what do you think that will look like? Do you think students will be saying, actually, we want the online option because I don't want to be going to uni every day? Or what do you think that will look like and change?
I think it will open up new opportunities. This period has shown that we can do a lot. We can do a lot without traveling, without meeting. So I really hope that, for example, the travels we do in the work, business trips can be reduced. Not because I don't like to travel and I don't like to meet the clients, but it's because it is also a big problem for the environment. And it is also a big problem for family life to take a train at 5 o'clock one morning or 2 mornings every week. So I hope that this gives us the opportunity to reflect that it works quite fine not to travel too much. We will have to travel a little anyway,
Yeah.
but not as much as before. This is one positive thing about this period. Yeah, so that it can also, you know, help cleaning up our air and working more environmental friendly, traveling less in general. The other thing I think it will make it possible to have access to completely different people. For example, I'm now planning the final examination in May for my students, and usually I have to invite external critics for this final presentation, and I have to pay their trip and I have to plan their trip. So usually I try to plan people that are close to the city so that they can come physically. But now, since the examination is online, I can invite an American professor. I can invite a Danish professor. I don't have any international, any physical limitation anymore. And this is a great thing. That you suddenly can plan and you can access knowledge without any borders. This is something fantastic. And I really hope that this shows also this opportunity. So traveling less, helping our environment, having a better private life, and accessing knowledge and exchange without physical borders. These are super good things of this period. What is not so good is that we have learned to work from home, and working from home is on one way good. On the other way, it is very difficult to separate private life and working life. Already with the mobile phone, it has become a mix of everything. That you read your emails and you put things on the social medias at the same time as you eat dinner and you enjoy yourself with the family. So already now with all this mobile phone and digital life and social medias, already now it's quite difficult to split up. And now with this possibility to work from home all the time, at any time, weekend, evenings, it will possibly increase mental stress. There are a lot of studies that show that the increased use of mobile phones and can be read parallelly with increasing of mental unhealth in our society. So
depression, anxiety, insomnia, particularly.
It's a big challenge. It's a very big challenge when you know that you can, okay, I take a break now, 2 hours, I do this, and then I can work later again. You know, that you don't have to go to the office anymore. You can do things. There is a huge risk that a lot of people will be more stressed than now.
We are in a situation in Switzerland where we have the children off school. We were told on Friday the 13th that from the Monday they would be homeschooled. And certainly for me, I'm a single mum. So when my son came home with his letter to say, you know, from Monday he'll be working from home or schooling from home, I obviously had to assume 100% of the school management, the parenting, the everything. And it's a tough one, because he then went to his father's for a week, because it opened the schedule and it opened the possibility that he could spend time with his dad during school hours. His dad lives an hour and a half away. So we were able to actually properly co-parent, which we aren't able to do because we live geographically so far apart. So instead of him being a weekend dad, he was a dad for the first time in his life where he was able to say, great, I can get involved with schooling. And I have to say, he was added onto the WhatsApp group for the teachers and for the parents. I have to say, I have never felt so involved in my child's school life as I have in the last 6 weeks. And I do not want that to change. I've met the parents online. We have exchanged all of our cards and photographs and everything our kids do, we've exchanged within the parents group. I know, because the teacher sends out the schedule for the week, exactly what my son is doing. I understand where his education is at the moment. I also can see that he can do his day's schoolwork in a 90-minute period of time. So he has done and dusted in 90 minutes. and doesn't require, you know, he's got a lot of time then spare. But I was able to then share that parenting with his father. We've never been able to do that before because just geographically we don't live together. And that for me has been it's a huge positive,
Yeah.
and it means that he was able to get really involved, especially in the teaching of things that he's strong at, which is maths. So he was able to do a lot of maths. I'm not strong in maths. I'm stronger in language. I'm stronger in reading. I'm stronger in other things. So, you know, the balance for my child, even though we are both single parents, I found this to be an absolute brilliant concept. It's opened so much in terms of options. Don't get me wrong. I'm looking forward to the economy opening up again on the 11th of May. But for the moment, it hasn't been as hard as I thought. And one of the biggest lessons that we've had, and I've spoken to other mums, is that we've had to learn patience because it's been forced on us. These kids are coming to us like they do with a teacher every 5 minutes. Can you check that? What do you think about that? Do you like my drawing? What do you think about this? And you just realize they're young kids. They need that constant praise or approval or review. Yeah, let me check your dinosaur that you've drawn. That's really good. You know, and as a parent who's working, you've had to go like this with your pen, put it down and focus. And that parenting style that we probably had as children growing up when we didn't have computers, now we're having to do that again with computers. You know, we're having to pause a lot of things and spend time. And I think that's been a really good, if you think about when you reboot your computer, you know, when you pull it down and then you reboot it to power it back up, that's what I think personally has happened in my life in the last 6 weeks, that we've been able to power down and say what actually matters in life, and let's reboot keeping those things, and the things that didn't really matter, let's discard them and just make life that little bit simple. You know, your walk every night with your daughters is absolutely fantastic. That's exactly the kind of thing that we, you know, my son and I have been doing, and I think that just brings it really crystal clear to the front of your mind. What is it that actually matters day to day? So I mean, it hasn't been easy, and the child psychology part has been a nightmare, because you're then dealing with a child who's frustrated, angry, maybe having a temper tantrum. That's hard when they're 8, 9 years old and they just don't know what's going on and they're missing their friends. It's really tough.
Yeah, it is. Teenagers as well, I can say. That's well, of course our kids go to school, but the teenager we have at home, it has been a struggle to keep her home. Although she's used to chat and talk with friends but you know, it's not the same always to be not to meet for real. So there are positive things in this period.
So when do you think things will, so you're not in full lockdown, so when do things open up and completely change for you and you go back to work? Do you have dates yet?
No, nobody knows. Now at the moment, the numbers in West Sweden are increasing, number of deaths, number of intensive care units cases. So there is no positive trend. In opposite, it's an increasing trend at the moment. So nobody knows really. I'm going to work until the end of June. And I have the delivery of the project until the end of June. And I think if it keeps like this, I will work until then from home. And then July is usually holiday here in Sweden, the whole month, part of August as well. And then we will see what happens in the end of August and September. I really hope that it will be more normal, but nobody can answer to this now in Sweden. It's nobody knows what how the life will look like in September. So I'm planning now the master courses in September as they could be online.
And take it from there.
Yeah, well, in case we have to, that the planning works anyway. So I'm taking in consideration that on the planning, so that we can do at least the first month or something like that online. But that's also another part of this stress, is that nobody knows on which direction we are going. Is it going to be better in summertime? It's going to be worse in summertime. Another thing we have done, which we have thought about for years and never took the step, is that we are going to have a little puppy in June. And it's a part of this, you know, we always run and run and run and never have time to anything. And then suddenly you are at home and you have more time, or more, at least you are more time at home. And then we have taken this big decision, which is almost like having a new child for us mentally. Mentally for me, it's like a fourth child. And he is coming to us at the beginning of June. So
what kind of
have
dog is it?
A little Labrador.
Oh, Dylan wants one, and
And we feel like we wanted to have something positive to think about, not to have, you know, only this negative sickness and death and everything. And a dog has been a dream for many years, and we have been thinking, okay, maybe we have, for the first time in life, maybe we have time for a puppy.
Yeah.
So that's what happened in our family now.
Wonderful. My last question for you would be along the lines of, are you, as a working mother, are you getting any time at all during this period of time to yourself?
Time for me, minimal. What I have done now, it's I have the reading. Reading is for me very good, and I have started to read the digital books, which I've never done before. And it has opened new possibilities, because you can read them books from in Italian language, which I can't buy on physical books. I can't buy, but now you can buy digital books in any language you want, which is fantastic. Another thing I do is that I have a telephone conference with my mother and my sisters almost every evening.
Nice.
We call each other about half an hour, sometimes more, sometimes less, and we talk. It's not really time for myself, but it's still time that I have some exchange with outside of the home. And then I have some friends that I also talk with or chat with where they are. We have some phone calls or some long conversations, and we have a book club with a group of friends, and we have done the last meeting digital on Zoom. And you just sit in a room in the evening with a glass of wine and talk about books with friends. Yeah, you don't need so much more, you know. It's just you need something else than just job and work and children.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I am going to say bye on the recording, and then I'll chat to you afterwards. But I just want to say a massive thank you for that. It's been very interesting. And the reason for me is the comparable, because you're in a country where it's almost flipped. Work is continuing, work expectations, goals, objectives, key milestones are all in place, but you don't have the child at home. In comparison to some of us who have got the children at home, but the workplace has been completely flexed because they have understood, well, you can't possibly be here. I work in a couple of gyms, and the gyms are closed, the fitness centers are closed entirely. So but they are supporting you. So it's a slight flip, but thank you very much. I really appreciate that. I'm going to hit stop, and then I'm going to say bye to you separately, but thank you very much for that. I really appreciate your time.